Same way even with Peter and Jesus, when Peter was walking on water, and Jesus said, "Step," like, come. He just looked at Christ, just stepped, and then believed in it more. Then he took his eyes off Jesus. He started drowning in that. Do you know what I'm saying? So sometimes like we just think, as you said, like it's a God tells me I step, that's faith. Yeah. No, sometimes you step, God orders it, that's faith as well. Because it's like, oh, you're seeing the way God is moving. You wanted to go left, God said, nah, go right. You go right. Oh, right was way better.
Even I think of an example of when I think David built a temple for God, innit? And God said, I don't really need that temple.
Yeah, I don't need.
Your son's gonna do it. And like, so David took a step that was technically wrong, but God adjusted. He wasn't in that scripture. He wasn't rebuked. He was just like, nah, I didn't want this, but I'm gonna turn it this way. Your son's gonna have it.
And Solomon built a brazy temple.
So like, that's an example of someone who took a step.
That's a great example.
They weren't rebuked. It happened to his son. I guess David got a bit of not glory, but he got a bit of calm. My son's gonna do this. It was calm. It was a good plan for David as well. And David, I forgot what God said to David after that though. But he also, I don't know if he praised him, but he gave David some credit for what he was doing as well. So sometimes, even if you get it wrong, again, and intention is important. I'm not saying, if you have good intentions, just do anything. Again, because some people just think if you have good intentions, that's enough. It's not. You can have good intentions.
Let's be smart about it, bro.
The scripture I always think about is my man who touched the ark when it was dropping. His intention was to handle the ark. It still wasn't a good. It was a good intention. He died.
So he died.
So sometimes it's not about always intention, but going in faith and just trusting that God will order your steps, and just like you said, stepping out is faith, bro. Like stepping out is faith, and it's not always God said. Because first of all, if someone's always telling you, I'm not saying we do definitely build faith from when God tells us, because sometimes He tells us something brazen and we have to step. And that's faith as well. But if someone always has to tell you something, your faith,
you're not a robot.
You're not a robot as well. Like, that's not how you want to be in a relationship.
When you're walking with God, bro, like, I think another thing is we're too scared to fail.
Yeah, I think
like,
so. Yeah.
we think that because we have to walk in God's will, there's no room for failure. Which I don't think is right. Because then it stops us from making certain decisions that, even through those decisions, God can still teach you a lot of lessons from. Even if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, God can build a lot of things. Bro, like when David was a shepherd, that wasn't his ultimate thing. But he needed that for him to be able to kill Goliath, for him to be able to now have the minerals to be a king later on. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like, the straight drop is like, we just think that, okay, cool, because I'm walking in God's will, because I want to walk in God's perfect will, it means that nothing in my life should go wrong. That means that, I shouldn't, try this, because if it's wrong, it's not God's will. Who said that? Who said that? Who said that? That being wrong was exactly God's will, so that it can teach you something that you don't need to have, for then you to know that this is God's will for you. Bro, do you know what I'm saying?
Right. You know what? Actually, and I was gonna say something funny that just came to my head. One of the funniest analogies that you guys probably know as well. You remember when I told you that DY said 5 + 5 is 10, same way 6 + 4 is 10. It almost reminds me of that. You know what I'm saying? It just came to my head right now. But you know what? You're very right about that. I think when it comes to like the aspect of failure, I think it's just the case that, simply pride does come in. We don't want to rub out. We don't want to make ourselves look bad and etc. But it's us understanding that from that failure, it's diverting us to something greater.
Because bro, I always say, bro, as a Christian, it's always a win-win. Either way. Whether you fail, whether you win, as long as you're walking with God, it's a win-win. Because let's say you have something that you have planned and you want that to happen. You take the step, you've consulted God, you're walking in it, it doesn't bust. You know that as a Christian, God's will for you is patterned. So He will direct you anyways to something better, or something that is perfect in terms of His will. So it will be good anyways. Cool. So that's pattern. Even though you've lost, you've won, because God has redirected you anyways. Then let's say you do get what you want. You've won either way because you've got what you want in it. So either way, it's a dub, because if you're genuinely walking with God, even disappointments are genuinely times to be rejoiced. Like, you know how they say an L isn't a loss, it's a lesson. Like, you know what I mean? Say something like that. It's a straight drop though, because like, as a Christian, I always say, bro, when you're walking with God, bro, there are no L's. There are 0 L's, because even if you do catch an L, even if it is an L, if it's not a dub, whatever, it is a dub, because you're walking with God. And if you know, as you said, if you have that confidence that you genuinely are walking with God, you're even violating Him to think that He can't change your situation around.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us, we just think that, if I take this wrong step and it's not in God's will, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You know what's even mad about that? Yeah. You know what's even mad about that? When you're in a particular space, yeah, say for instance when you've held an L and you're in a particular space in your life, it must be even so beneficial to God that you know what, he still listened, that even though he's in this L phase of his life, he's still there, you know, and because of that, I will reap the harvest for him. Kind of goes back to, if I'm correct, I always get confused, is it Hebrews 12:11 or Hebrews 11:12 when it talks about the, you know, the patience, they reap the harvest for those that have stuck to it. I think one of the beautiful things about that is, you know, as we are taking those L's in our life, we are continuing to reap our harvest. And it's incredible because sometimes when I do prayer call with the man them, and we always come with our prayer points, you know, and, you know, whether it be for work, whether it be for education, whether it be for life in general. And one of the things that for me, that I always remember when it comes to them prayer points is that we've got to look back at this and be like, wow, you know, like these little moments, these little points in your life are the things that gotta help your plan be solidified at the end. But then one of the most beautiful things though that I realized when it comes to planning is the positions that you are in certain places of your life. Who is there, you know, to really help you direct or redirect you to that place? Because we know that God is the one that's going to redirect us to different parts or different sections in our life, but who is going to be there as well? What areas, what things in our life will take us to that next redirection of our life? And I think that's the thing that we remember. And then when it comes to a point whereby we get a dub, you know, it's not a dub, you know, just for us. It's a dub for, obviously, you know, you abiding to what God's called you to do. It's a dub for the people that have spent time to pray for you. It's a dub for, you know, like so many things. I remember when what was it? I think when Squared, when you first got your ministry, when you first got in where you're at right now, innit? It feels like a dub because your involvement, it feels like a dub for the people around you because their involvement still pushed you towards to get into that place. You know what I'm saying? And that's the important thing about redirecting that we kind of forget, you know, that redirection, even if it leads to failure, there's still an element whereby people around you have diverted you to that place to at least allow you to learn. And those will be the same people, even more people, even less people along that way that will push you to the next direction, And it shows that God's cooking.